Diablo Paintballs was created in 1998 by Richmond, Italia. Richmond was at the time a distributor for both at one time Zap and another time PMI for their paintballs. He also owned a variety of paintball fields and decided that he wanted to get into the manufacturing business. After the first year, Diablo Paintballs had come to such success that he outgrew the space that he had, and he realized his vision that one day he would be able to build this factory and be the largest paintball manufacturer in the world. This building that we're in right now, where all of the GI Sports, DXS, and Zap product is manufactured, was designed and constructed from the ground up with the sole purpose of making soft shell capsules as efficiently as possible. The flow is very important and allows for the most efficient way to make the paint, the most consistent paint to come out of the factory, and allows us to make the most amount of paint we can possibly make with the resources and tools that we have. Formulation is the department where you have where all the gel and the fill is manufactured. That's where all the secrets are held. We have a variety of formulas to manufacture the gel so that the shell of the fill, which is created by the gel, works in any kind of conditions, in a variety of weather conditions, a variety of performance conditions. You start out with the basic formulas on how to make a paintball, and it's basically a long process of evolution through trial and error. You play around with the quantities and the percentages of certain raw materials. When we get into the encapsulation process, the ribbon thicknesses and other attributes of the paintball to make the paintball do what you want it to do. Encapsulation is the second step in making a paintball. Once formulation is created, the shell, and the fill product goes inside the shell. All that product in this building is fed via gravity from the second floor down to the first floor, straight into the machine, so that there's no kinks in the hoses, everything's a direct feed into the machine. Once the paintball has been encapsulated, which is basically a process of the fill component being injected into two sides of a shell as they're being cut out by the die rolls, the ball drops onto a conveyor belt that sends it to the dryer or the tumbler. In that dryer or tumbler, the paintball goes through a timed process that basically performs 50% of the drying of that paintball. So when it enters the tumbler, it's very soft, gooey, even more gooey than a gummy bear. When it gets to the end of the tumbler, the paintball is slightly more, I guess the word would be hard or more robust or structured, but again, is still soft, kind of like a gummy bear. Once it leaves the tumbler, it's scooped onto trays, goes onto racks into climate-controlled and humidity-controlled tunnels where the drying process, which is the second most important part of making a paintball, finishes. In these tunnels, the air draws across the paintballs, pulls off the remainder of the moisture, and drives the paintball to a hardness that's acceptable based on the quality that we're looking for of the given product. Whether it's 1-star, 5-star, or even frostbite, there are certain levels of hardness that we're looking for before we pull that product out.
There's parts of the process where there's a lot of physical labor, carrying out the old net, the waste products. We did away with all that. We found ways that the actual encapsulator didn't have to do those chores himself. Now, the important thing for that is you want to keep the encapsulator focused on running the machine as efficiently as possible. Machines need to be tuned every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They're constantly being tuned. And if that encapsulator needs to go empty out a waste basket because there's waste product every few minutes that gets produced, well, if you have to go empty that out, you're leaving your machine. And it's not like you're not going to come back and find the problem and fix it and correct your paintball to be perfect again. But in that 5 or 10 minutes you walked away, you made 5 or 10 minutes of bad product. And that bad product is being mixed with the good product, but it's there. So the goal was to make sure the encapsulators were at their machine every single minute.
The encapsulation department is probably the highest skill level of the manufacturing process. These employees have been at this company for many years. Similar to trying to figure out the formulas to make a good paintball, the encapsulation process is a trial by error process as well. There's not the perfect instruction book on how to make a paintball. The encapsulator has to experience all of the goods and the bads of making a paintball to really understand that when they run into a problem or they want to make a paintball do a certain thing, they know how to set that paintball up. Another thing they deal with is, every batch is a different batch. We're not cutting metal here, we're making food. So just like an orange, no orange is perfectly round, paintballs are the same way. So the encapsulator might run into a batch of 5-star, for instance, that you would think is the same as the last batch of 5-star, but it actually acts a little bit differently because of the temperature in the room or because of whatever conditions the encapsulator might be dealing with. So it's one of those departments where we really rely on experienced employees who've been with us for a long time. Once the quality control person deems the paintball is ready to be pulled, they'll pull the racks out and pull it into packaging. The process to determine if a paintball is ready to be packaged is through a hardness test, as well as a drop test, as well as checking the paintball for cosmetic deformities, making sure the paintball is round, making sure the paintball has a consistent size. And we aren't just checking one paintball, we're checking paintballs on the top, the middle, and the bottom so that we get a good idea of how the entire rack sits and what quality it actually is. So in the packaging department, this is where the product is sifted. There's another layer of QC. The packaging operators will visually inspect the product as they're dumping it into different batches depending on how the product is going to be packed. We have one system that operates automatic with a conveyor belt, filling a slat machine that does precise counting, that then drops the paintballs into a bag that is then sealed, cut, and sent to our robot, which is a very smart unit that picks 4 bags, puts it into a 2,000 count box, and sends it on to be sealed, labeled, and then packed onto a skid. Probably about 70–80% of our product is packed in this manner. Now, the most important product or the most famed product, the 4-star and 5-star that we send to our events, because that product is so brittle and so important to us, we hand pack every batch. We have 2 to 3 operators that will hand pack the bags, put the bags as well as the resealable bags into the boxes, and make sure that product is to the highest quality that it's expected to be when it gets to the tournament.